And President Trump won this election
3 years later.
The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
Kevin McCarthy was just voted out, the first time in history that a speakership has been vacated. This is the revenge of Liz Cheney. This is the revenge of the Democrats that had demanded that Kevin McCarthy take that insurrection seriously. Kevin McCarthy made a choice after the January 6th insurrection. He made a choice to go back into the House and to whip House members' votes to vote to overturn the election even after the Capitol had been stormed. And then he went down to Mar-a-Lago to suck up to Donald Trump. When he made that bet, he was throwing all in with the MAGA side of his caucus that could not be trusted. So today, when he came to this vote, there were only a handful of MAGA Republicans who ended up voting against him. But what he needed in order to stay in the speakership was support from the Democrats, right? The theory of the case that Kevin McCarthy had was that if the Democrats did not participate in the vote to overthrow him, if they just voted present, or if some of them just sat it out, or maybe even if some of them voted with him because they were worried about the more extreme speaker that might come next, then he would be fine because he could maintain the Republicans in the conference. But here's the thing. Democrats were never going to bail out Kevin McCarthy. Democrats never should have tried to bail out Kevin McCarthy because he broke his oath and he became untrustworthy to them. And that is why, according to Dan Goldman, Democrat from New York, Liz Cheney, who was stabbed in the back by Kevin McCarthy, who was ousted from the House, she called to Democratic former colleagues and said, you should get rid of Kevin McCarthy. You should throw him overboard. If you have Liz Cheney out there saying that, that just shows the depth of the lack of trust between Kevin McCarthy and the people who believed that we needed to protect the norms and the institutions of Congress. And so, when Kevin made his deal with these MAGA nihilists like Matt Gaetz and all of them, he needed to know that he was at their mercy, that at any moment Matt Gaetz and his ilk and Lauren Boebert and all of the far-right MAGA Congress people could have thrown him out, that they had the lock and key on his speakership because he could not rely on Democrats to bail him out because of his original sin of not just speaking the truth about the 2020 election, not just standing up to Donald Trump back then. A handful of House Democrats said that they received calls from the more normal Republicans, the ones in the quote-unquote problem solvers caucus. And they said that they called asking them before this vote tonight to save Kevin McCarthy's job. One source described those calls as begging, and in those arguments, they were saying, that whoever comes after McCarthy will be worse. That you have to respect the norms of the institution. That at least go with the devil, if you will. But the problem with that is you could never do that. You could never trust someone that literally voted to overthrow our democracy and turn America into a Donald Trump-won autocracy. And so, because of that, because Kevin lost that trust with the Democrats, because he lost that trust with the Republicans who voted to impeach, like Liz Cheney, that he was left to walk the plank with the most unreliable, most untrustworthy, most duplicitous people in the entire Congress, led by high forehead Matt Gaetz. And so, as a result, McCarthy goes down today. His first speakership is officially over. It is officially vacated, and that means he will be the shortest running Speaker of the House since Michael C. Kerr, who died of tuberculosis in 1876. So Kevin McCarthy sold his soul for that Speaker's gavel. He sold himself out because he was so desperate to have that legacy, that little bust in the Capitol of his blow-dried hair, having once been the Speaker. That's why he had that shit-eating grin with a picture of himself underneath the Speaker's, the plaque that says Speaker Kevin McCarthy. And he did all of that, and as a result, now he has as this special distinction that he is the shortest running speakership since the fellow that died of tuberculosis. We will be live at 8 o'clock Eastern time tonight with my colleague Jonathan Last with Joe Perticone, who's been in the House watching all the craziness, and we'll give you the latest updates in this ongoing story. 8 o'clock tonight on the Bulwark YouTube feed.